Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast slash YouTube slash We Do It All. As always, I'm your host, John. Very happy to be here. My boy, Jay. I already know you happy to be here, Jay. After this big game 2 win, how you doing, my brother?
Needed it, Jay. Obviously it was a must win for the Warriors. They got it done, but we got ourselves a series, Jay. This is back and forth. What we expected, we knew this was going to be a long series, but first one was a tale of totally different story than tonight. But man, Jay, we got ourselves a series. 1-1.
Man, Jay, you said it best, Jay. We got
Man.
ourselves a series, and I think everyone in their right mind has this going 7. So this is no doubt just great finals matchup. And honestly, Jay, what we got here is just a quick episode. We're gonna quickly review games 1 and 2, just kind of talk about some things that we saw. And this is for those people out there, like how we mentioned last time. Y'all just too busy. Y'all ain't got the time to come and watch the game. It's all good. Come get with Clutch Talk. We'll get you right. We'll let y'all know how things is going. Like how my boy Jay did last time. He told y'all how the Warriors and how the Celtics got here. So that's exactly what we're gonna do today. We're just gonna talk about game 1s and 2. Jay, we unfortunately got to start with game 1. I know that's unfortunate for you to have to hear, Jay, but we unfortunately do got to start with game 1. Game 1 was on Thursday, June 2nd. The Celtics took that one 120-108. Early in the game, I thought it was going to be over quick. I seen Curry put that quick 21 points in the first quarter. I was like, wow, if the Celtics are struggling to put up 28 and Curry himself puts up 21, I thought it was about to be over quick. The Celtics dropping on Curry's pick and rolls, not watching for none of those Warriors backdoor cuts. It was a mess, Jay, but talk to me a little bit about what you saw from that first quarter or anything from that first half.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, right away, like you said, the drop coverage. I was shocked by what the Boston's game plan. Udoka had those bigs dropping down low, and you said that's a recipe for disaster. I mean, Steph was walking into those threes. That's practice. Those are practice shots for him. I understand on Boston's point of view. That's an easy adjustment, though. Like they were able to adjust right away. You saw Marcus Smart. They showed him talking in the timeout. Says, step up on that, make him create, make him finish down the lane, because that's Boston's number one advantage defensively, is because they got, like I said, in the preview, we talked about them using their length at the rim. Still, all those guys, even the wings, we've seen them get blocks time after time, using their length to defend. We saw Derek White blocks, but that was a simple adjustment they made. And then, I mean, Jay, Boston could not miss in game 1. And I think it seemed to me that they played, no one had picked them to win game 1. I mean, we saw on ESPN, no one chose Boston number 1 to win the series a lot. No, and they understood that. They came out, played with the chip on their shoulder, played with a sense of urgency. They're winning a lot of those 50-50 balls. And they said, we got it. They did their job. On the road, you got to steal one game. Doesn't matter if it comes from a hot shooting night from some guys. You'll take a win on the road in the NBA Finals any chance you can get, and that's what Boston did. So they're coming back home with this series tied 1-1. Regardless of the outcome tonight, Jay, I think that you're happy if you're the Celtics.
Man, I mean, you got to be, Jay. And then you talked about, you talked about though that head scratching defense, and they were able to get it together in the second quarter of that game 1. But that's when the Celtics held Curry to 0 points in that second quarter, and that's actually something I wanted to ask you, Jay. So, I mean, we're talking about Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, and I understand that the Celtics kind of switched up their defensive scheme to not drop as much. But in my opinion, I think in that second quarter, Curry was 0 for 2 from the field and 0 for 1 from the 3. I just think, in my opinion, you got to be more aggressive. You got, as the best shooter to ever touch God's green earth in the NBA Finals, you got to be more aggressive. Like, I don't even care if they're up on that, pressing up. So how do you feel about that, Jay? Did you want to see him try to force some or keep swinging it?
Absolutely. You got to be. You're Stephen Curry. Like I said, before, I think he's got to be the best player in the series for the Warriors, or just in the series in order for them to do that. I thought for 3 quarters, about 7 quarters, he has been. I thought tonight, I mean, Like we saw what he did tonight, just unreal. But yeah, Jay, to answer your question, I do think he's got to be more aggressive, because even if he's not knocking down shots, he's got to at least take them, put pressure on the defense from the perimeter, allow guys to create space and other opportunities. Like tonight, he was attacking the rim. We saw a lot of those times in those drop off passes to the post, drawing another defender, and it's easy dunk for Kevon Looney's, for Otto Porter, for Draymond, guys in the dunker spot. So just putting that pressure, he's got to be aggressive, Jay. Every single game, every single possession. And we saw tonight, they went to, I know we're talking about game one, but tonight they went to the on ball screen, and Boston had no answer for that. I expect them to make adjustments, but yeah, he's got to be aggressive. Long story short, Jay.
Absolutely, Jay. And I mean, I think maybe you flew to the Bay Area, Jay, at halftime, and you talked to Curry at halftime of that game one, because third quarter, halftime, I don't know what was said to Curry, but the Warriors just they got to be the deadliest third quarter team in the league, man. Game one, yeah. 38 points, popping the Celtics out the water, man. And then real quick, Jay, because over here, we got to give our roses and our flowers. And Jay, your guy Otto, you talked about the X factor, Jay. Your guy Otto came up big in that third. Our guy Wiggins, that we also talked about being a X factor, came up big with 12 points in that third quarter. Some huge stops on Jason Tatum. But ultimately, Jay, unfortunately, that third quarter run from the Warriors ended up just being the calm before the storm, because the Celtics ended up outscoring the Warriors 40-16 in that fourth quarter. Played some amazing team ball on both ends. I mean, offensively, it scored 40 points in the quarter, and it wasn't just a one team thing. I mean, we seen Al score 11, JB scored 10, White, Pritchard all hit some big shots. Defensively, I mean, Klay Thompson was the leading scorer in the second half with 5 points. So it ended up really being all that she wrote. But I mean, for that game one, Jay, you said it best. It was just game full of runs, 9 lead changes, 5 times the game was tied. But all it was that the Celtics got the last run on that game one. This is an evenly matchup, both great teams on offense and defense. And I just think that game one, the Celtics got the last laugh or last run. I guess that's how you would say. Would you agree with that, Jay?
Absolutely. And I think from a defensive standpoint, Golden State was not locked in. And when they went on that run, yes, they're hitting some tough shots. Derek White, Al Horford, they're hitting tough shots, almost uncharacteristic. Marcus Smart was locked in. One play sticks out to me, and I got to talk about it, Jay. Believe it was when they're making their run in the fourth quarter, when Marcus Smart skipped through the lane, did the behind the back, the back, and then floated it up. I just said to myself, hey, I don't know if the Warriors are going to win this. The second play that kind of solidified that was when Derek White hit that double clutch three in Curry's eye. I just said, oh, this is looking like Boston's night, because you get those shots, those type of shots and those type of plays on the road in a game one, that just brings your confidence level. It keeps it rising. And Boston was playing so loose. And I think a lot of that to do was, like I said earlier, that playing with that chip on the shoulder, saying that no one picks us to win. We're playing with house money. Like, no one picked us to win anyway. So we know how good we are. And that's exactly what they did. They played like, man, everyone counting us out except us. But credit to the Warriors. They flipped the script in game two, but Boston just come away with game one. Unbelievable effort in that fourth quarter. Warriors offensively got no easy looks. And a lot to do with that was Boston defensively, just locked in, communicating, playing aggressive, physical, and Warriors just had no answer to that run, like you said. And that was the game there.
Man, Jay. And then last point I want to bring up here, Jay, before we do get to this game two breakdown, I just want to say, I don't know, Jay, that I didn't really feel Jason Tatum's presence in that. And I know he didn't have a great game, but even this game, I didn't feel Jason Tatum's presence like I've felt it. And you know how you've been talking about the Heat. You've been talking about how you haven't been feeling the Heat's fans. I don't know how to explain it, Jay, but I'm just not. This isn't the same killer Jason Tatum that I've been seeing. And this is only a point talking to game one. So tell me if you agree with this, Jay. So I didn't really feel Jason Tatum's presence throughout the game, which is not great for the Celtics. But in my opinion, it's in anything worse for the Warriors because Celtics were still able to take that game one. Do you agree with that, Jay, or do you think that's kind of stretching it?
No, I didn't feel Tatum, but when we talked about affecting the ways, you heard Mark Jackson talking about affecting the game in other ways than scoring. And Tatum had 13 assists in game one. I think that was a huge part of his playmaking. I remember one play that stuck out to me in the fourth quarter, also during that run. Jason Tatum got down the lane, got that by Wiggins, I believe. Looney stepped up, or I think it was Draymond that stepped up, and Al Horford was in the dunker spot right there on the wing, and he knocked down that mid-range shot. And I just said, that's just such a smart, heady play by Jason Tatum. If we go back maybe a year or two, I don't even know if he makes that play, honestly, Jay. Because we see, that's why I say the flashes are there of his progression as a player. But the Celtics need him to be the best player on the floor in order for them to win this series. Like they stole game one regardless of that performance, but you took some heroic performance from Derek White, Al Horford, and if you're Boston, you can't rely on that night to night. Although Derek White's been playing great up to that, he kind of didn't play as well tonight. But that's what you expect from a role player like Al Horford, Derek White. But you need your stars to step up. Jaylen Brown's been playing solid. He had a great game one, started out hot tonight. But Jay, you need Jason Tatum to be the best player on the floor night to night if you're the Celtics and you want to come away with this series.
Absolutely, Jay. That was going to be the follow-up. Does Jason Tatum, yes, Derek White came up big and Marcus Smart and all these other players, but Jason Tatum has to be there, right? If the Celtics really want to host that trophy at the end, right?
Jay, he can't be minus 26, his worst plus minus of his career. We saw that stat at the end of the game. That's unacceptable. I don't care if you're on the floor, you, like I said, you got to be the best player on the floor. Like obviously it was a blowout tonight, but you can't allow that to happen when you're the best player. You're a superstar, generational talent like Jason Tatum. Own that. You're playing for 24, and I respect the hell out of that. But if you're gonna carry his legacy, then carry his legacy, man. Because I think he's a great player, and he's got to take over this series. So let's see how he responds back home.
Jay, you brought up, you read my mind, Jay. I want to ask you real quick: is he doing a little too much? Because I'm seeing some people saying Jason Tatum stop, and I get it. He's trying to carry on the legacy. 100% respect it. I'm cool with it. Some people have a problem with it. Are you cool with it?
Bro, social media and shit's weird. Yeah, like
he hating,
man.
Huh?
Yeah. Like if he wants to carry on his mentor, a dude he looks up to, his legacy, then by all means he can say whatever he wants, dude. Like,
man,
who are these judge warriors, man? Yeah, I can't. No, I think I love it, man. I love Tatum. He can, bro. People can do what they want. It's a free, bro. Say what you want, do what you want, honor your friend, honor his legacy, man. I have no problem with that.
Okay, I just wanted to catch the temperature because I'm right there with you, Jay. I don't know why everybody's hating on him for that, man. But all right, Jay. So let's keep it pushing and let's get to this crazy game two that we just seen. The Warriors pulled off this one, 107-88. Jay, I don't know if you want to go first with this. Just talk to us about some things you've seen, some things you like from this game.
Number one, we talked about I talked about how locked in they were. It was just a different energy. Number one, it was a must win, but I just felt like night and day effort defensively. That's where the game was won defensively. But you know who was back in the lineup, Jay? Mr. Payton, Gary Payton II. Man. And I talked about him being not an X factor. Obviously I talked about Otto Porter, who's been playing great these first two games, but his ability to guard the perimeter was huge. As soon as he stepped on the floor, you could tell Jaylen Brown. You feel him right there. If you're Jason Tatum, you feel him on the perimeter. Obviously, he's giving up about 5-6 inches height wise, but he's in their shirts. He's in their shirts like as soon as they step on like full court, 94 feet.
First possession, he got in the game. He was in, bro. I feel you. Right in him.
And you feel that right away if you're Boston, you're a playmaker. And I also said that Boston what's their one weakness? I still don't believe they have a primary playmaker, ball handler. And Jaylen Brown it's as crafty as he is. I feel like he struggles handling the ball, which is it's crazy to me. He struggles dribbling. I even think Jason Tatum is loose and casual with the ball at times too, and that's the wrong person to be casual with. If you're around Gary
Payton. Team to be casual with.
Wrong team, because as good as Boston's defense is, I think Golden State, these are two of the best defensive teams in the NBA, like going back and forth. So that's energy and effort right away, Jay. That was energy and effort from the Warriors, and Boston had no answer for that tonight. But how would you like? What's your theme, or what do you got from game two?
Yeah, Jay. I mean, I think the Celtics, they came out on fire. They were 5 for 5 on really, and then on defense end, they were really holding it down. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Jaylen Brown, because game one, he was extremely aggressive all game, getting to the cup. Game two kept the same energy going. You don't usually see that within players. So as big ups to Jaylen Brown. And then one of the first things I noticed from the Warriors side is that they switched. They had Klay Thompson on Al Horford this time, and I think that's a good switch, to be honest with you. That's something that I think that I'm more comfortable with, if like from the Warriors perspective. But even more than that, I think the Warriors should rock with a zone, man, because we've seen how killer and deadly their zone has been. I just don't know if it's just, and it's sad to say because we knew how great of a defender Klay Thompson was, but I just don't think he got it in him anymore to be able to stay with a player like Jaylen Brown. So that's why I think they need to run that zone. They're a well-disciplined team. And I just think it's going to be more beneficial for their defense. Jay, are you feeling me on that, or are you not feeling the zone?
I think the zone is a great option to go with for the Warriors, but the only thing is you gotta, when you're playing players and superstars the caliber of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you got to switch up the defensive constantly, which is good, because I know that was another thing defensively. They knew their scheme so well and they're executing to a T. We didn't see those same open looks that we saw in game one. The closeouts were a little tighter. Boston guys weren't shooting with that confidence that we saw, because the guys were in their shirts. Those closeouts were right on hand on the ball. And yes, did they knock down some tough shots? They did, but you're going to live with those defensively. Like, I even look at Jason Tatum, like he's in his bag, he's creating, he's hitting those tough fadeaway jumpers. One sticks out when he hit that fadeaway on Gary Payton. If you're the Warriors, that's a low percentage shot, and you'll take that anytime, compared to a Derek White wide open late closeout rotation three. If you're Boston, you take those any day of the week. If you're Golden State on the flip side, so that energy, effort. And then Jay, I was waiting after a abysmal performance. I know we said in the group chat, we Junior said about Draymond Green about Draymond, and it was hilarious because it's true. I thought game one his performance was disgusting, Jay. I just felt like he wasn't locked in defensively. The shots he was taking, to Boston's credit, in game one, they were forcing him to take those threes, those late second, because they were given. And tonight he just came with that dog energy from the start. He's talking. He's John. Yeah, he's John. The first play with Al Horford, it was just a different type of Draymond, and that's infectious. From your leader, you see your guy getting after the defensive end. I thought that from the jump. His energy and effort rubbed off on the whole team. He's talking the whole game, and that's why they have him. He's the Dennis Rodman. He's the guy that's not going to show up in the box scores, but he's gonna do the things that you need to win games. As simple as Marcus Smart is to the Celtics, Draymond is to the Warriors. So, man, great performance, night and day.
And Jay, I gotta ask you, being just a basketball fan, especially being a Warriors fan, and especially you are a podcast host yourself, Jay, how did you feel about Draymond? Because look, I understand both sides of things. I understand, like, bro, what are you doing? Lock in, it's the NBA Finals. Because Jay, we host a podcast. We know that it's not just hop on, Whew, all right, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's not as easy as that. That's not maybe from the outsider perspective, it looks as easy as that, but it's really not. And if he's hosting the podcast, which he's hosting on his own, I think there's got to be some like some work that comes in, some groundwork.
Absolutely.
Is that distracting to you? I personally don't have a problem with it. I think he's a grown man. He's going to make his own decisions. But I understand the side of things where, yeah, you need to lock in, bro. But if he's bringing it like tonight, do you have a problem? How does Jay Hill feel about it?
I think it has its pluses and minuses. First of all, I think, yeah, like you said, people always expect basketball players to not have a life outside of that.
For real,
like, I love, like you said, it's a man, his passions, and he's good at it. He's good at podcasting. I know I enjoy listening to what he has said. Is some of it kind of, and that leads me to the other part. The other piece, when he's giving his critiques and gamepad and strategies, I feel like that only helps the opposing team. I don't really know if it's helping him and his cause, but he still does it regardless. And I think it only can get worse. It can only get worse in the sense that some of the things he says can backfire. But I just think, bro, it's what he does. He obviously likes doing it, so it's an escape, man. They're people, not just basketball players. Man. You got to understand that. So I got Jay. We know we're podcasts as well. I don't got a problem with it.
I don't got a problem with it. I don't got a problem. Hey, do you, Dre? Yeah. Hey, I don't got a problem. The only way I'd have a problem with it is if he's like consistently playing bad. Because then I'm thinking like, all right, well then you're clearly need to do something different here. But if he's performing like this game too, then we can't.
Agree.
I feel like we can't even
get
game
one. Then we gonna have some issues,
man. All right, Jay. So then let's we talk about the first half and game two. Again, the Warriors have a crazy third quarter, outscore the Celtics 35-14. Once again, they outscore the Celtics by 21 points in the third quarter, just like how game one third quarter. After Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson didn't have the greatest first half, they come back and have a good bounce back. You have good bounce back second half, a lot more productive, especially Jordan Poole. And Jay, we talked about Jordan Poole and his importance. And I mean, you were the one that brought up how many open shots and how many open looks he is going to get because the defense is focusing on Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry. And boy, did that come out this game. Jay, what do you have any words to talk about Jordan Poole? Because I know you've been on him for a minute, Jay.
It's a pool party.
It's a pool party. That shot was crazy, Jay.
That shot was crazy. To end the third quarter, I said, okay, the game was getting a little out of reach at that point, but that might have been the nail in the coffin for Boston. But I just think we're going to see those inconsistencies as well. You know, he's a young player. Irrational confidence. He's the most confident player on the floor, to be honest, I feel like. And that has it's good and bad at times, right? And when on nights like these, when he's playing and that energy and effort's there on the defensive end, when I think he's at his best, we saw what we saw in game one. He was almost unplayable, honestly. A terrible performance in game one where he's getting picked on time after time on the defensive end. And tonight I thought he ratcheted it up. You know, he wasn't a negative defensively. And what does that do when you're giving effort on the defensive end? You start hitting shots. It's just the way basketball works, how the game works. The basketball gods, they reward you for giving that effort on both sides of the floor. And not only that for the Warriors as a team, but Poole, we saw him in that third quarter just catch fire, dog. And like I said, the reason why I thought the Warriors would be successful in this series, Jay, was kind of a pick your poison kind of thing. Like, you got three great shooters and Poole, Thompson, and Curry, but obviously Klay's been off this whole series. But it's scary because if all three of them on, it's tough to beat. And we saw both Curry's been playing well, but tonight, Mr. Poole party was having himself a night, Jay.
It's but a pool party, Jay.
What do you think the difference was offensively tonight for the Warriors? Do you think it was lapses more so defensively for the Celtics, or what changed the way, besides like the pick and roll? We saw them going back to the pick and roll with Curry, and they really had no option. I thought we're gonna see blitzes from the defense from Boston on Curry. Maybe we'll see that in Game 3. But what do you think the difference was offensively, and why they're getting such
I think
open looks?
I think the biggest difference, Jay, is the turnovers. If you look at the turnovers from Game 1, it was I don't have the exact number pulled up for Game 1, but for Game 2, they had 12 turnovers. They're averaging 14 turnovers in the playoffs. So for them to have for the Warriors to have less turnovers than they're even averaging, I don't think that's been happening throughout the season. And even you said it, that too many silly turnovers. And as we've seen in Game 1, and as we've seen throughout the season, like sometimes the Warriors just get kind of loosey goosey, and it's the way they play. So I understand they get loosey goosey, and it gets way too many turnovers, and that kills any offensive flow, any offensive momentum. In this game, it was the opposite. The Celtics were actually continuously turning the ball over. But another thing that I think was another big difference between Game 1 and Game 2 was in Game 1. I mean, we saw the Celtics dropping on Curry's pick and rolls, just not really doing all that great stuff in early in the game. Fixed it, and then they got it together later on the game. I think Game 2 they came out hard. They were up on Curry screens, and then I don't know what happened in the third quarter. They just I know I'm not trying to take away all the credit from the Warriors. They did their thing, but it was a lot of dropping on Curry's screen. And for Stephen Curry, for the greatest shooter of all time, anything besides being up and blitzing is too low. And Mark Jackson said it. He said, you might as well just be at the rim for Stephen Curry. You might as well just be at the rim, because if you're not up on a player like that, it's going to be a three every single time, man. So that's the biggest thing I think. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, and I also noticed, I talked about the energy and effort, Jay, and I agree with that. There was a lot of lapses defensively from Boston in that third quarter, but plays were being made. But also, and then add into the mix the turnovers, and then you're adding in also the mistakes and coverages that Boston had, and you're not blitzing Curry. I think if you're Boston, you're kind of in a dilemma, because they do. That's also another reason, because you say there's also other shooters on the floor, but if I'm Boston, I'm willing to live with a guy who's Klay Thompson, who struggled this series, force him to make shots, force an inconsistent at times and streaky scorer like Poole to make shots, and you'll live with Curry not beating you, honestly.
I'll live with literally anybody on this earth besides Stephen Curry shooting that. So I'm right there with you, Jay. And then you brought up a great point, Jay, that I actually want to ask you, and that's Klay Thompson, right? He's been struggling. It's no doubt that he's been struggling. In my opinion, I think Klay's been a little trying to do too much, in my opinion. Trying to put the ball on the ground, trying to create off the dribble, and I get it. He can do that, but that's not what his role on the Warriors is. I think his role on the Warriors is to run off these screens, play some great defense. And I understand 2 injuries, it's hard to slide like that on defense. But I think he shouldn't try to do too much, shouldn't try to go outside the box. I think it's Curry's role on that team to put the ball on the ground and create off the dribble, and then find your Klays and your Pooles cutting. But I think that Klay's been really not fully there. Numbers say it as well too. But Jay, my question to you is, does Klay Thompson have to be there for the Warriors to be the team that hosts up the Larry O'Brien at the end of this series, Jay? Or can he continue like this?
I don't think they can continue. I expect it to turn around, but they need him to be a better version. I think the days of expecting consistent Game 6 Klay is tough. But I think they need at least 1 or 2 more performances. Obviously now it's 3 more wins, but if they can get one of those kind of performances, and then more playing to his averages. They can't have a 11-point this kind of shooting performance. If he's shooting closer to 40% from the 3-point line, knocking down the open ones and not forcing those shots, like you said, rushing. It looks like he's not catching shots and shooting them in rhythm, which is huge for him. He's not setting, his base doesn't look set from a shooting aspect. So they definitely need a better version, to answer your question, to get this done. Can they get it done without him playing at the best? Yes, but I think with
this version, you think so?
I don't think with this version, especially you go to Boston. although Boston hasn't been the best at home, I still think they're going to knock down some more shots, which is weird. Boston's been playing better on the road this whole series. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there in Boston if he can get things going. But they need a better version. Certainly can't have these kind of performances where he's giving up defensively. And also, I will say this, Jay. With Clay, I noticed times when he's not making shots, he's struggling at the offensive end. It trickles down over to the defensive end, which is huge. There was one play where he missed kind of a fadeaway jumper. I forget in the first half.
Like that.
Yeah, clapped like that, and then gave up a three. I think was it a foul or a three? It led to someone made a play right after, and it was because he didn't run back. He was frustrated, and then it trickled over to the defensive end and led to a defensive lapse. So that can't happen because, like I said, if you give that energy and effort on the defensive end, it's going to translate to the offensive end. Especially if you're Clay, you're looking to get a rhythm. So can't allow those lapses to happen, especially on the road, because you will get burned if you try to do that in Boston.
And yeah, absolutely, Jay. I'm right there with you. I think that I definitely think that Clay's got to be, and I'm not even talking Game 6 Clay. I'm not even talking back when the Warriors were constantly going to the championship. Like, it's like, not to be rude, but it's over. Too many injuries, unfortunately. Like, it's just
this year. I think this year it's too much to ask of him. I agree. And it's.
I think that Klay, I think, like how you said, we can't expect that Klay Thompson anymore, but I at least I think that for the Warriors to be able to win and be hosting at Larry O'Brien at the end of the series, I think Klay Thompson needs to be at either that knockdown shooter that he is, or a deadly defender, right? Like he can't, like how you said be missing shots on one end and then clapping and not getting back on the other end, and all these things like that. That just can't be happening. Not only because he's so important to the team, but also when he's not like operating at the level of Klay Thompson, that makes the defense's focus so much more on Stephen Curry and just make things so much harder on Curry. And that it's like when you said, Jay, when Poole and Klay are hitting, it opens up the floor so much for Curry that it practically becomes really impossible to beat him. So I definitely think that if the Warriors want to win, Klay's got to step that up and at least just be a master at a defense, or be a master at these knockdown shots, man. But all right, Jay. So do you got anything else you want to add here, Jay?
Well, my question is, what do you if you're Boston, what are you changing? What are you looking at? Number one, what are you taking away from this road trip? And then what are you looking to change in Game 3? Because now the pressure does shift to Boston to protect home court. You want to keep that. You definitely want to get Game 3. Game 3 is kind of a decider. One team's going to go up. But you want to protect. You want to come out with good energy, good effort, and a lot of intensity, especially on the home court. Give the fans of Boston something to cheer about early. But what are you looking to do game plan wise and adjustments if you're Boston going to Wednesday night?
Yeah, for sure. Number one thing I'm doing is definitely focusing on limiting those turnovers. Celtics usually on a team that turns over the ball 18 times, but everybody has those games, but that's something that I definitely would focus on. Another thing is the points in the paint, man. I mean, the Warriors it's pretty clear. No, they are not a big team. They should not be killing you in the paint. They outscored the Celtics this game 40-24 in the paint. I think that's horrendous. That's a big problem on Al. It's a big problem on Robert Williams. I know Robert Williams got banged up at his knee in the game, but I think 14 minutes for Robert Williams is just simply not enough by Udoka. He needs to give us some more, especially because Robert Williams is, I think, the biggest weakness from the Warriors, that big man that is hard in the paint, and I think Robert Williams is exactly that. So he needs to see more minutes. Jason Tatum can't have another negative 36 plus minus. Al Horford can't have 2 points. I just think the biggest thing I would say, man, is remembering that you cannot drop on Stephen Curry. Like, just I
Yeah.
don't know what you got to do. Like, drill it in your mind. You can't drop. I don't care if it's first quarter, third quarter. I don't care how tired you are. Step up. And it doesn't even matter who it is, even if it's Al Horford. I'd rather have Al Horford get smoked on an island and then have the help defenders come and help and collapse than have Curry have a walk-in three every time after the pick and roll, Jay. But what do you think on the Celtics side of things?
Yeah, it's getting the ball out of Curry's hands. You got to throw some doubles, give him different looks. At least, even if he's coming off, and you're not going to blitz him every single time, I think you got to blitz him a few times, get the ball out of his hands, and kind of not know what to expect when he's coming off that hole. You blitz a few times and try to throw him off rhythm-wise, because a rhythm player, if he gets going, he sees one or two go down, it might be night over for the Celtics. So you don't want to allow him to get rhythm. You want to kind of try to take his rhythm away as much as possible. From the jump, and then offensively, if you're the Celtics, you just got to look to generate better looks on the offensive end, not as much isolation. I know that's why, as great and transcendent as a player as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, a lot of their offense is generated through isolation, right?
Yeah,
and it's tough to replicate, right? So you're the Warriors, you're living with that. But when they were most successful, they're getting into the paint, forcing the Warriors to get into rotations and getting some easy looks. And they weren't able to do that in game 2. So you got to get back to that if you're Boston, and then pound the glass. Like you said, they're undersized. But you got to take that size and use it to our advantage. But I will say Robert Williams isn't looking too great. He's looking injured, and I think that's not good if you're Boston. But at the same time, I think they're better when they're able to play small with one big on the floor. So let's see if they can match the Warriors and their size that way with a smaller lineup and Grant Williams on the floor.
Man, Jay, and then one other thing I wanted to add here for the Celtics is I was genuinely like, I don't know if I was the only one, but I was like so confused as to why the Celtics stopped playing all their starters with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like I thought it was still the Warriors were winning, but I don't think the game was over. Like that's literally what happened last game. The Celtics came, but they were down by 12 coming into the fourth quarter, and then the Celtics ended up winning by 15 at game 1. But like, I don't know. I just had to throw that out there. I don't know. That was 10 minutes left, and Peyton Pritchard was out there. Also another guy who, why is he out there? I don't know. I don't think Peyton Pritchard should be out there, in my opinion. He's very struggling, man. But all right, Jay. So look, Jay, great. We really got a series, Jay. If we can wrap this up in the same way we started it, Jay, we really got a series. But before we get out of here, Jay, I have one question I got to ask you. And this is more on something like, I could have just called you to ask you this, but I need to know. I want the fans to know. So we here live, we getting your answer, Jay. All right. As a Dub Nation. All right. So take out the NBA side of you, just Warrior side of Jay Hill. Would you rather have Andrew Wiggins or Harrison Barnes? When Harrison Barnes was doing his thing, though, that's a hard one, Jay. I seen that on Twitter. I had to ask you.
That's a tough question.
That's a tough one.
Harrison's got a ring, but Wiggins does from a shot creation standpoint. I feel like Wiggins is a little bit better of a shot creator than Harrison Barnes.
That's tough.
And this year he's shooting in the year before, he's shooting knockdown for around 40% clip from the 3-point line. So I'm leaning more towards Wiggins, but it's hard because Barnes in that 2015 season, man, he was such a huge part of what the Warriors did on the wing. So I'm leaning towards Wiggins. I ain't gonna lie though. Maybe it might be the prisoner of the moment in me right now from seeing what he's doing. But it's tough. I'm gonna lean towards Wiggins right now. I'm gonna say Wiggins.
I can't. So you going for show Wiggins? I can't let the fence be up, Jay.
I'm gonna go Wiggins right now. It might be regretted, but I'm gonna go Wiggins right now. But yeah,
that's a tough one though, Jay. I knew you was going. Yeah. I knew that one was gonna be tough.
Who would you say? Who would you say?
I would say Andrew Wiggins as well. I think not only is he a better scorer, like I think all around. Harrison Barnes may be a better shooter, but I think he can just get to the cup. It's not like Andrew Wiggins can't shoot. I think Andrew Wiggins is the better athlete. You could start making an argument on defender. It's not like Andrew Wiggins is a bad defender. So I'm right there with you, Jay. I'm definitely going A Wiggs. The Canadian Mamba, Jay.
Right.
So, all right, man. Well, look, Jay, game 1 and game 2, boy, it was a great game. For everybody, for all the family at home, if you guys haven't had time to watch the game, don't worry about it. Just, you got an update, you got a review of how game 1s and game 2 went. Jay, any last words, Jay, as we got game 3 coming up here on Wednesday? Today's Sunday, June 5th. Yeah,
this series shifts to Boston, so I'm looking forward to what we got in store for game 3. I expect it to be a lot closer, and we'll see what comes out with more passion and energy from the start, because both teams know how big game 3 is going to be on the road for the Warriors and then at home for the Celtics. Got to always protect home court.
Man, Jay, gotta protect that home court, man. So. All right, Jay. Well, look, man, for all the family, man, we appreciate you guys watching, staying through the whole time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, man. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, man. We be live over there, posting highlights, posting everything, man. Just come find out for yourself. So all right, man. That's it. We out here, y'all. Clutch Talk out.
Peace.